There is a new type of death-stalking modern man. It is not biological, it is social, it is oblivion, irrelevance. It's the feeling of passing by people, conversations, relationships, and realizing that you didn't stay. That left nothing. No mark, no memory, no real presence. We live in the age of overexposure. Everyone wants to be noticed. Everyone wants likes, attention, responses. The tragedy? Almost no one can be remembered. Why? Because they mistook presence for noise. They mistook being noticed for showing off. And in this desperation to be seen, they ended up becoming invisible. Have you ever noticed how easy it is to forget people who talk too much? They throw themselves into everything. They are always available, trying to please, trying to prove, but nothing about them leaves a mark. Nothing about them stays. They became landscape, background noise. And here's the harsh truth that no one wants to face. Being too accessible, too predictable, too talkative is a shortcut to insignificance. The man who tries at all costs to be accepted ends up wasted. The man who tries to win everyone over loses everyone's respect, because there is no mystery, there is no contrast, there is no silent force. He shouts to be heard, when the real power is the silence he imposes. Machiavelli would never recommend this. He was not a champion of theatricality. He was a strategist of presence. He knew that power does not need to be justified. That respect is not born of hysteria, but of firmness. The truly unforgettable man does not show off. He imposes himself, not by physical strength, not by popularity, but by a rare energy, self-centered presence. He enters a room and even without saying anything, he is noticed. He doesn't ask for attention, he gets it. He doesn't try to be liked, he is respected. This happens for a very simple reason. He doesn't live to be domesticated. He lives to be true to his own essence. And this loyalty is scary, because it is rare. And everything that is rare is remembered. Look around you. How many men do you know who are always justifying their choices? How many people spend their time explaining why they are the way they are, trying to convince others that they deserve love, friendship, respect? They think they're being sincere, but they're being needy. Lack is the opposite of grandeur, and nobody respects the desperate. No one fears the predictable man. The problem is not lack of strength. The problem is the lack of mystery. And the mystery is not about hiding. It's about knowing what to show and what to keep as an enigma. That's what makes you unforgettable. The fact that no one understands you completely. No one can predict you completely. No one can put you in a box. You are not a product. You are a code. And whoever wants to decipher it, let them try hard. But never explain yourself to be accepted. The man who explains himself too much gives up his weapons. The man who exposes himself too much gives away his souls, and the world, which only respects what it fears or admires, simply discards you. This is where many go wrong. They want to please in order to stay. But in their search for permanence, they become disposable. A striking presence does not come from shouting. It is born from internal solidity. Machiavelli would say, if you want to be remembered, be rare. If you want to be feared, be unpredictable. And if you want to be respected, never bend over backwards to be accepted. That's the basis, that's the foundation. And if you understand this, you are ready to go further, because now I'm going to show you the 4 Machiavellian rules that will make you unforgettable and indomitable. Rule by rule, you will see that the game is not about performance. It is about presence. It's not about talking more. It's about being silent with power. It's not about conquering the world. It's about not losing yourself. And whoever masters these rules no longer needs to be noticed, because he is already remembered. Now that you understand the basics, it's time to go deeper. Most men live like puppets, predictable, controlled, tamed by the gaze of others. You will walk in another direction. You will learn the rules that silence a room, the postures that make people watch you even when you don't speak. Because true dominance is silent, and the respect that comes from it is unbreakable. Rule 1. Be rare, even when present. The common repeats itself. The unforgettable is scarce. Men who are everywhere all the time become invisible. They want to show presence and end up losing value. You don't need to isolate yourself. You need to be intentional. Those who appear on impulse become exhausted. Whoever appears strategically is engraved in memory. Think about it. The woman who misses you doesn't value your presence because you insisted. She appreciates it because you knew how to disappear at the right time, disappear with elegance, and then come back with impact. Machiavelli already said, scarcity increases the value of everything you desire, and that includes you. Rule 2. Have a silence that imposes, not a voice that begs. Reactive men talk too much. They try to explain, convince, justify themselves. But the more you talk, the more power you give away. Silence is the weapon of those who don't need to prove anything. Do you want to be remembered? Learn to keep quiet. Not with passivity, with presence. Well-placed silence creates doubt, tension, respect. Real example. In an argument, what destabilizes is not shouting. It's the fixed gaze, the silence, the absence of emotional reaction. The other one kicks and screams, and you remain. Because you no need to beat the theater. You already dominate the stage. Key phrase, silence well used is worth 1,000 arguments. Rule 3. Create contrasts, non-conformity. The world is full of copies, everyone dressing the same, talking the same, acting the same. And in the midst of it all, the difference shines, even effortlessly. Being a contrast is not being forced. It is being whole in a world that fragments to fit. In an environment of sycophants, the man who speaks the truth stands out. In a sea of exaggerations, what is sober commands respect. In a group of anxious people, calm rules. You don't have to be the most talkative, it needs to be as coherent as possible. Machiavelli did not admire the popular, he admired the effective, and effectiveness has more to do with posture than performance. Whoever causes contrast provokes memory. Be that contrast. Rule 4. Preserve your code. Never over-explain. To explain too much is to ask for permission to exist, and men who ask permission lose their throne. Do you have a code? A set of principles? So keep it. Even when it bothers you, even when they question it, especially when they doubt, whoever has a code has power. Because it does not adapt through acceptance, because it doesn't bend out of need. The untamed man does not justify himself, he acts. And whoever wants to understand, let him observe. But he doesn't explain himself, because you know that over-explaining is not humility, it's insecurity in disguise. The mystery of a firm man is worth more than the transparency of an unstable man. Keep your reasons, keep your whys. Whoever knows, respects. Those who don't know should learn to observe in silence. These are the 4 rules, and if you apply each one, you will notice something strange. You will be remembered even when you are not. You will be respected even without raising your voice. You will be feared without ever having to threaten. Because the man who becomes unforgettable and indomitable is the one who decided never again be predictable and tameable. We live in an era where the domestication of man is celebrated as a virtue. From an early age, we are taught to please, to give in, to seek approval. Society molds men to be docile, predictable, adaptable, and many, without realizing it, embrace this condition as if it were an ideal. But there is a high price to pay for this domestication, the loss of essence. The man who bows too much, who seeks incessantly to please, ends up becoming a shadow of himself. He may be accepted, but he is not respected. He may be liked, but he is not admired. Because respect is born from authenticity, firmness, and the courage to be who you are, even if it is unpleasant. Machiavelli already warned, "It is better to be feared than loved, if one cannot be both." This does not mean promoting fear, but rather inspiring respect through integrity and inner strength. The man who remains faithful to his principles, who does not bow to convenience, is the one who leaves an indelible mark wherever he goes. On the other hand, the tameable man lives in a constant search for external validation. He adapts his opinions, his behaviors, his choices, everything to fit into other people's expectations. And in doing so, he loses his identity. He becomes a social chameleon, always changing color to please but never being truly seen. This relentless search for approval leads to emotional exhaustion. The tameable man lives for others, forgetting about himself. He becomes a hostage to other people's opinions, always worried about what they will think, what they will say. And in the process, he loses the freedom to be authentic. True freedom lies in being true to yourself, in living according to your values and principles, regardless of external pressures. The indomitable man does not seek to please everyone, but rather to be consistent with his essence. He understands that it is not possible to please everyone, and that in trying to do so, he runs the risk of not pleasing himself. Being indomitable does not mean being inflexible or arrogant. It means being clear about who you are and what you want, and not giving up on that out of convenience or fear. It means having the courage to say no when necessary, to set limits, to stand firm. The indomitable man inspires respect because he is honest. He does not need to raise his voice to be heard. He does not need to show off to be noticed. His presence speaks for itself. He is remembered not for what he does to please, but for what he represents. In a world where many get lost trying to fit in, the man who remains true to himself stands out. He is like a rock in the middle of the current, firm, unshakable. And for that, he is respected, admired, remembered. So if you want to be unforgettable and untameable, stop seeking external approval, turn inward, reconnect with your essence, strengthen your values, and above all, have the courage to be yourself, even if it means displeasing others. Remember, true respect is not earned through submission, but through authenticity. And the man who remains true to himself, even in the face of adversity, is the one who leaves a lasting legacy. We have reached the final point, not in the sense of closure, but of revelation. Now, what's left is a mirror, and in it only two possible figures, the man who bent to fit, and the one who remained standing, even when everything told him to bend over. Being unforgettable has nothing to do with being popular. Being untamed has nothing to do with being aggressive. Both qualities arise from one point, the courage to be whole. And here's the naked truth. The world will test you. It will offer you shortcuts. He will promise you acceptance in exchange for silence. It will put loves in front of you, asking you to negotiate your principles. It will offer you positions, friendships, comfort, but only if you are more flexible, more understanding, less intense. And at that very moment, you will have to choose. It bends or becomes unforgettable. Because ordinary men live adapting. But the man who wants to leave a mark on this world, choose to be remembered for what you didn't give into. You may even lose people by being truthful. You may be alone for some time. You can see doors closing. But what you will never lose is your identity. And that, my brother, is what separates the men who pass by from those who remain forever in the minds of those who crossed them. Machiavelli was not an advocate of coldness. He was an advocate of lucidity. He understood that respect does not come from emotional fragility, but from consistency. The king who changes his tune with every wind does not rule. He pleases until he is overthrown. Consistency is what makes the difference. It's what turns you into a symbol. It's what makes people think of you as a strength, not a favor. Do you want to be unforgettable? So take the risk of being yourself, even if no one applauds. Because the real impact you make isn't loud. It is silent, deep, and remains. The world needs fewer men who struggle to be accepted, and more men who dare to be whole. Men who live firmly, speak clearly, love with presence, and, most importantly, they do not bend to fit into the narrow space of someone else's convenience. The unforgettable man doesn't need everyone to like him. He needs the right ones to respect him. He walks with the certainty that being at peace with one's own conscience is more powerful than any collective approval. And that is the real victory. It's not about winning everyone over. It's not getting lost in the process of trying to win anyone over. From today on, may every choice you make carry this sacred weight. Am I becoming memorable or just comfortable? Am I rising or adapting? If the answer is adaptation, go back and rebuild, because the path of the indomitable man is not the easiest, but it's the only one worth it. And if you're going to lose someone, let it be for being whole, because the man who walks with his truth, never alone. He is accompanied by destiny, the only ally that respects authenticity. If this message touched you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Together, let's free a generation of men who no longer want to be accepted with a mask, but respected with truth.